Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the Suffolk Non-League Show. Once again, it is a Monday night. We are live across Facebook, across Twitter, and across YouTube. I am James. Here's Adam. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm very good. Not too bad at all.
It's Monday night. There's no Monday blues here. How's your weekend been? You've been good?
I've been ill for the last week, so I haven't been to a game. So not exactly on top of the world.
No,
but it's only.
But it's all better now. It's all better now. You're here, so I know you're feeling 10 times better already. So
exactly. This is my good place. I've come to my good place with all our friends.
Yes, exactly it. And I can see already loads of you are streaming in and getting involved in the chat. We will go through your hellos in a few moments. I hope everyone is doing well. Just a quick reminder, if you are one of the people that is watching on Twitter, if you wouldn't mind giving this a retweet just so we can start getting this video shared around to as many people as possible. If you're on Facebook, click the share button, and if you are on YouTube, make sure that you are subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that when these videos are released, you are the first to be informed. Because obviously with my connections to Facebook, I get the reminders on about a 15-minute interval to say when we're going live. So if you want those reminders, you have to set yourself something either on Facebook, as I said, or on Twitter or on YouTube. If you hit that notification bell, you will be informed as and when we go live. So that would be much appreciated. If we can get this spread around as much as possible, that would be amazing. Just a quick shout out to, first of all, our sponsors. You can see them up on the screen there. We've got, first of all, GBS, family-run construction company in Ipswich, operating nationwide for over 30 years experience. They have got, they offer fire protection, diamond drilling, commercial building, health and safety, and asbestos removal. And Starling and Lock, self-employed electrician since 1989, offering domestic work and certificates for buying and selling homes. He is IEC member. I knew I was going to mess that up the moment he asked me to put that in. I knew I was going to mess that up. But yeah, if you wouldn't mind going checking those guys out, they're both in the description below. That would be much appreciated. Again, a massive shout out to our regular Patreon and Ko-fi members of the channel. We had two people that since the last show have donated on Ko-fi. So Ian Vandery and Hannah Parnell, we really, really appreciate your ongoing support.
Big thanks.
With the channel. Yeah, definitely. So again, if you want to support the channel, you can do it either monthly or as a one-off. If you click the links in the description below, and you'll see the banner across the bottom as well is reminding you about that. If you want to help towards the running costs of the channel, as I said, links for both of those will be in the description. And again, a massive shout out to our partner clubs. Now, Adam, if they want to, if any clubs want to become like the clubs on the list here, what do they have to do?
Yeah, so nice and easy. Just drop me a link, or just link up with me via Twitter, really. And what I do is add you into our group chat where I post the link every week to our show. That enables these clubs. These are clubs that are absolutely crucial to the running of what we do, because they're helping us spread the word, and it helps form our footballing community, really. Like, I can't say how important this is, and it's only a very, very simple thing. But hopefully as things go on, we can link up with these clubs and do a bit more with them, and this will be a start of a good relationship with different non-league clubs. And something that's really important is these don't have to be clubs just in Suffolk. No. You can see our friends at Yarmouth are on there, for instance. Even got the Met Police on there. I'm not sure if I've got a team in Essex on there yet. I'm trying to do my geography really quickly in my head, and I can't find it. But yeah, it's really, really good to have that.
Of course, we've got our friends from north of the border. Wroxham are on the list, and let's face it, Leiston and St Margaret's are so far out east, they might as well be in the sea. So that we can pretty much count them as outside.
Yeah.
So we can count them as outside of Suffolk. But yeah, it's Monday night, and we are again, as I said, once again live, and you guys are pouring in. Maverick UK, evening. Hope you're doing well, mate. Ryan Johnson, evening, lads. Luke Gifkin, good evening. Irvin's in the chat as well. Connor Ellis, Connor, good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Dean's back in the chat after missing last week. Evening. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're doing well.
With us, Dean.
Matchday Marketing evening, chaps. Hope you're doing well. Vinny's in the chat as normal. Thank you, Vinny. We really appreciate you joining. There he is, the main man, Macca from Old Newton. Evening, lads. Ben Moore, hope you're both doing well. Hi, lads. Yes, we are, mate. We really are. Shemmings, evening. All Dan Hiscock, Tony Stone, Mark Watts. Have a good one, guys. Mark, obviously, we'll talk about your news in just a moment. Obviously, leaving Stowmarket. Would love to get your kind of thoughts if you want to come on and speak about that, Mark. I'll send you the link. If you type link into the chat, I'll send that over to you, mate. Would love to hear your thoughts about what happened at Stowmarket if you want to come on. Terry Rackley, evening, guys. Hope you're doing well. Nana Mike, good evening, guys. Daniel Barnard, Leeds versus Wolves or the Suffolk non-league show. I know I will be here for the next 2 hours. That is commitment. That is commitment, and I absolutely love it. He knows.
Considering like the people that present the Leeds show as well. Like, don't want to sound sexist or anything, but there's something far better on telly than the way I look. You know what I'm talking about as well, James.
I wasn't watching Sky Sports before I joined, so I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. But Dan knows this is the number one place to be, and the number one place for non-league football in the Suffolk area. Stuart Spreadbridge, evening. Evening, mate. Hope you're doing well. Alex is here. Evening, mate. Hope you're all right. Official Westerfield. Oh, God, they're absolutely pouring in. And Jamie Sanderlands. Hello, guys. Hope you are all doing well. Vinny Ford has said, I heard about that from Mark's point of view. Tough start to the season. I'm sure you will find another club soon enough. Again, Mark, if you want to come on, mate, just type the word link into the chat and I will send that over to you over on Twitter. We would love to get your thoughts. Or if you just want to type it in the chat, that's absolutely fine. We can do that.
You all know the format of this show by now, and it's literally the more the merrier. Pile in, like have fun with it, like have a laugh. Yeah, if you want to come on, we'll do it. We'll make it happen. It's all up to you.
I love you more without the hat on, mate. That's why I stay on Monday, made my week. Are you talking about me or are you talking about Adam? Because both of us are kind of needed.
Nah, he's definitely talking about me, James.
Yeah, I was going to say both of us are needed nowadays, aren't we? Let's face it. Let's face it. So we have got an action-packed show for you tonight. We've got quite a few topics we want to go through and bring to you, and we've got lots of results and talking points. It's been another action-packed week and a lot of fixture changes, which we will get into in a moment. So we've got a lot to go through. One final hello, Ian Moyes is in the building. So, Adam, first of all, I wanted to start off with some very, very quick news. It's another bit of sad news that we have to talk about in the fact that ASC Kesgrove and Westerfield have been told by Ipswich School Sports Centre that no spectators are allowed to attend their matches. Another facility where, if you know the setup over there, the hockey pitch is right next to it, and they have we've seen photos of people attending and watching the hockey matches literally right next door to the football pitch.
Yeah.
I think that's where the annoyance comes in. But again,
that decision has actually stood up because of that. I know, like, it came out a couple of weeks ago, but I thought, like, with the other, like the council ones sort of getting sorted out, I thought that decision would just fall flat on its backside, to be honest. It hasn't done. It's actually held. So that'll be an interesting one to keep abreast of. And I don't know too much about what the COVID rules and regulations are and how often they have to be reviewed. But what I really hope for is that they can push for a review and make it safe. Yeah,
I mean, it just seems daft. We've seen, as I said, images online of people watching the hockey on the AstroTurf right next to the facilities of where Westerfield play. It just seems as if there needs to be some sort of consistency with the message that they're putting out there. But Westerfield actually are in the chat, and they've actually said, we have been informed that the hockey teams have been told the exact same thing. But, you know, I don't know. It's difficult because we've seen that people are there. Yeah. So who's enforcing these things? That's what I would like to know.
I think though Westerfield are doing right. They put out a message on Twitter, which I saw, that said like, to avoid problems or anything, just please don't attend. And I think the best way of trying to ride it out is to not try and challenge it and let the people that are in the right places try and work it out, because Westerfield will want people at their games, so they'll be asking the right questions with the right frequency. Yeah. What they don't need is people just turning up and causing a problem, which could cause more issues for the club. Like Westerfield are going well as well. Like, you know, you don't want problems off the pitch that can be sorted in time. So it's one of those things where we're going to have to ride it out. Daniel's put in the chat via Twitter, like, sad state, but at least we're still playing football. And I think that is absolutely the right attitude. I back that 100%. Like, it doesn't feel right, and it's unfair because some teams are being treated differently. But at least the game is going, and at least it's still got the ability to put points on the board.
Do you not feel, though, that this is the kind of thing that you can get involved in like you did last time? Start atting people. What are you doing? What kind of decisions you're making? Come on, Adam. I'm trying to poke the fire. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to get it going.
If Westerfield drop me a DM with who owns the venue, then I'll do something about it.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it is Ipswich School Sports Centre. They're the ones who have said that they can't have fans there.
My problem is I tend to poke the fire and then get a bit fed up and just spray lighter fluid on it.
Yeah. There you go. Ipswich High School. Contact them. There's your next mission, Adam. I'm tasking you with that as your next mission. It's like a Mission Impossible thing.
That's this week.
Yeah. That's what you've got to do this week. Dean has said on here, it may be down to age and having an adult present. Maybe a factor as to why the hockey is allowed. I don't know. That could be a point. We've also been told if spectators are there, then all teams will be asked to leave and game abandoned.
Oh, good grief. Yeah, there we go.
So, you know, I mean, you guys have been saying this game is coming up this weekend. We're really looking forward to it. However, no spectators are here, so please don't turn up. So Westerfield are putting out the right message. Do you know what I mean? So there is that, but you would just hope that some sort of common sense would kick in at some point down the line. But as I said, this is what we've now got to do. And Adam, as I said, I'm tasking you with that, mate.
I think it's good Twitter though from Westerfield. If I'm honest, I think they're doing it in the right way. One thing I would say is that you could come across very bitter and cross about that decision.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of that. I think it's really important to getting the right solution at the end of it. I think we'll probably all agree that in football, things happen every single weekend, and you see very, very bitter tweets about it. One of the big ones I'll pull up again will be when Bury lost to DeeJam last week.
Right.
They had a disallowed goal. It was all very bitter and nasty on Twitter, like about something. Where, like, Westerfield haven't got bitter or anything about the fact that they're not being allowed to play, allowed to have fans, but they can still play. It's all being done right. So absolute credit where credit's due.
Yeah, definitely. And one other thing to talk about as well, I haven't actually mentioned this to you, Stowmarket Town setting a furlough num record for unbeaten games. Again, got a few people, sending in their comments over on Twitter, and I know that you replied to somebody over the other day. Which
I couldn't resist. I'm so bored of hearing it. Like, there was someone on there trying to say that winning and getting that record wasn't an achievement because they've got money.
Yeah,
they've invested money. No one actually knows what these budgets are. Like, it's obvious that Stow's budget is higher. I'm not going to play that down.
No, you can't.
But by the same measure, not being defeated in the league for 38 games, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
genuinely, that's ridiculous.
I saw somebody make a comment the other day over on Twitter, replying to that person, I believe, who said, "We've seen teams have money before. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to lose a football match because everybody has an off day."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So regardless of whether or not somebody's got money or not, there have been other teams in the league that have had money.
It was absolutely hilarious though, because this guy was a Bury Town fan. I don't know if Ian is still within the chat, but I think Ian Moore is literally said like, it was out of order, like the comment. It was a funny reply that he put to it. But like, I just like playing up to it. Like when someone put on there like, oh, it must be really difficult with all that money floating about. I just put paying every player £2,000 a week means we have to sell a lot of burgers. So to struggle to break even, but it's a good job they do. So I think regardless of what's gone on for the investment, it's actually helped the club grow that run in itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really important. Really
important. Definitely. Vinny, no, it wasn't your comment. I think your comment was actually quite good, to be fair. I think yours was quite positive, Vinny. So I don't think it was your comment. No, the one I'm referring to is the Bury Town fan who decided that this was going to be his moment to just decide to poke fun at Stowmarket and just, as I said, just accuse him of spending lots of money and stuff. So that was the comment I was referring to. As I said, I think yours was relatively tame, to be honest. But yeah, so well done to Stowe. Well done to everyone connected to the club. It's a good record. It's nice to have that intact. Although, as I said, again, I saw somebody say, well, last season doesn't count. So does this unbeaten record count? But, that is what it is. I meant my reply to the Bury. What did you say, Vinny? Let me know what you said, because I can't remember.
Oh no,
I can't remember what you said. If I'm being truthful, I can't remember what you said. But if it's PG, we'll put it up on the screen. So that's that bit of news, which was really good. We have got another piece of news coming in. The Suffolk FA have put funds into ground improvements. We've seen recently this week, you actually tagged me in this one, Adam, to highlight this one to me. So I thought it was important that we touched upon it.
Yeah, I think it's a really important bit of news for local football in East Anglia, this one.
Yeah. We've got facilities at Long Melford, at Halesworth, Wenhasting, at Beccles, Spexhill, Hawley United and Lakenheath that have had funding put towards them, which is great. We've got one of the highest ones being £16,000 worth towards grass maintenance, 22,000 towards a stadium, and even as low down as 1,000 towards the cost of some goalposts. But every bit of money going into these clubs, as you said, Adam, at this point in time, is a good thing. So we have been, I'm not going to say accused, but we have been, people have said that we are very quick to jump on Suffolk FA's back for some decisions that they make. And I've been very vocal in the final being played over two legs, etc. But when they do stuff right, and when this kind of news is there and available, we want to talk about it, because it's a good thing for the sport and it's a good thing for our local communities. And as I said, at a point where clubs are really, really looking for funding, this is fantastic news.
I'd like to know when the Hawley decision was made. Because they recently lost a set of goalposts due to a tree falling on them. So that's an interesting one for me. But the big one on there, Melford, I mean, that's a serious amount of money to help pitch maintenance, and they're doing some serious work on their clubhouse. Anyone that follows them on Twitter or has been there recently will know. I don't think it's a long shot to say that the facilities and that at Melford used to be, quite substandard, and the facilities they're going to have are going to be incredible. The new clubhouse design, I've looked at it all, and when I went there last season, it did honestly just look phenomenal.
Yeah,
what we're going to have, and it's going to be something that's really, really fit for the league, and it's going to be a great venue for fans to come and watch football at. It is excellent, and the fact they're going ahead with such big projects at such a time. Yeah, I think it's so inspiring for confidence for everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. The Wenhasting one is an interesting one. We've got Alex, who's waiting in the green room for his spotlight, talking about the SIL later on in the show. He's actually said on here, I wonder whether or not that's for training or whether or not that's for games, because they're ones towards portable floodlights. Either way, that's a massive step for the club, isn't it, to get those kind of facilities available at an SIL club. Obviously they're Div 1, so that for them is a massive shout. Oh, interesting, Adam. I'll see if I can get a link sent over.
That's fine. Yeah, I've just got a message on my phone. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Bear with me. Just is there any other clubs on there whilst I'm getting that link prepared?
Yeah.
Is there any others that that you think are quite interesting to talk about?
It's quite difficult for me because a lot of these are SIL level clubs that I don't know what the facilities are like.
Yeah.
I found the whole notion of portable floodlights quite interesting. In terms of like what's going on. Like I don't actually know what that consists of, but I'm surely floodlights at any level, like the lower down you can bring them in, it introduces the ability to play more games more frequently and stop seasons going on too long. I think it's quite an interesting interesting thing there. The Halesworth Community Sport and Leisure getting £9,225 towards fencing. Fencing's a big issue as you go up the leagues. A really big issue in terms of what's required by the what's required by the FA. So that will help them.
Yeah, definitely. Few of your comments coming in. Luke has confirmed on there the portable floodlights will be for training. They're too small for games, which is interesting. And Tony Stones, hopefully Hawley put their goalpost up straight this time. Brilliant.
I literally have no idea what these portable floodlights are. I thought it would be something that they can wind up for games, but obviously it's for something different. It's really interesting. Like literally, I've never seen them before. Definitely.
And one other bit of news before we get into the big one is that Witten A have decided to fold their side from Division 3, which in the SIL, which is quite a bit of sad news, to be honest. The results have been removed from the table and the listings have been readjusted. They've got a long association with the SIL and hopefully they will return to the league, is what the SIL put out in a very, very brief statement. From there, sad to see a team like that go, Adam, because we all know what the A teams are meant to be there for. They're designed for feeders towards the first team, and regardless of what level of the SIL you're at, it's still a competitive level of football. So to have that, to have the team folding like that it's never a good thing.
Yeah, I think the A team's an important link, like you're saying, like used in the right way. It is an interesting element to have to the club. Hopefully, like they say, they could reintroduce it in the future. But I think what you have to always remember is running these teams isn't always viable from a player's point of view. And I think sort of Witten have just gone through a recruitment process for managers of other teams as well. I think we were asked to look at something on that. I think they've got an 18s manager in as well. So like, I suppose it's getting the balance of everything right, and there's no point in running any of these things in a sort of half-hearted manner either, is there? So I'd like to know more behind why it's not right to carry on anymore. I think I completely agree with what Sidekick for Sports says. Like, it is just sad to see teams go and leagues to get smaller. And it's very early in the season. Yeah,
definitely. Alex, you said you wanted to come in on this one, mate. I'm going to add you into the stream. What are your thoughts on this as somebody who is, at that kind of level of the football in the reserve side of things? You understand the kind of hard work that goes into getting a team out day in, day out. What did you want to say on this part?
I just want to say it's very, very difficult to manage a side, reserve side, because, as I say, it's that player commitment. Sometimes it's not really down to the manager. It can be player commitment as well. As you have someone that could come in that's been playing really well for you for the first few games of the season, they could get snapped up as soon as they get the offer of a higher club. They could go. Just because it's a lower level of SIL or whatever league that they have an A's in, it's that opportunity to bridge that gap between the 16s, 18s, going through to reserves, going through to the first team. It's difficult to run a reserves. I'd love to have an A's, because I'd love to have another pool of players there that we could bring through to the reserves and then obviously push through to the first team.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it, hopefully Mark does come on. I don't know if he'll agree with me. I think sometimes it is player commitment sometimes, which is the bigger issue.
I mean, it's interesting to get Shane's, obviously Shane with the first team manager within his comment here. We couldn't find a manager. Do you think that's...
People shouldn't, this is the thing, people shouldn't think that managing at an A's level or a reserve level is, how can I put it, a step down. We've all got to start somewhere. Young managers, older managers that maybe have been out of the game, maybe they should be looking at an A's side. I went in straight in thinking I could manage a Division 1 side when I was at IVR. That didn't happen. I know that the level of experience that I've got at the moment, I'm right where I am. You look at Shane, and Shane will agree with me. When I first met Shane took over Stowe Reserves and built himself up that way. He didn't sit there and think, well, actually, no, he'd done a lot at youth level to start off with. Sorry, I apologise. Done a lot at youth level, and then he's built his way up there, and that's where a lot of these managers can start from his side. There's a lot of good talented youth in Suffolk. Just say what I've said about this a lot. Youth, you need to tap into it, and an A side is a brilliant way of doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
If you can't get someone to lead the team, those people that are already committed to the rest of the club, aren't going to have time to go out and manage that and keep it ticking over. So if you put an advert out for an 18 manager, and we're now, I don't know how many, genuinely, I don't know how many games those teams have played, but I think it's 5 or 6 at a guess. You can't keep looking forward and sort of saying how many more of these do we carry on for without somebody. Because before you know it, you've just muddled through a whole season. And that's not the way to go. And it doesn't, then people might not want to stay around, and you haven't then got that link of introducing youngsters into men's football to reserves, and that whole sort of circle of development would naturally fall apart. So if you can't get anyone to lead it, I think you are probably better just using the 18s and reserves and getting the best players to transition through and see how it goes. And
I do think that it's got to be, an A's has got to be done right. It's got to be done at the right time. It's probably got to be done, organised 2 or 3 seasons before you actually put an A side together, if you know what I mean. So then you've got a manager there, an assistant, possibly a coach, if they're looking to go that route. They've got a squad, i.e. like your 16s, because obviously you've got different year groups and stuff like that. When they're going to be pushing through to that level, get solidified, and hopefully that will help it go through. But it is difficult managing a reserves A side. It's, I remember when we had our interview when I took over at Henley, you turned around and said, it must be quite difficult managing a reserve sides.
I did. I remember asking that.
You don't have that draw of come and play for my first team, but this is the reason why I try and push for the youth, because I have that draw of, come and play for me, give you a couple of seasons, and hopefully I can push you through to first team wherever I am. And I've managed to be able to do it with a couple of players. So,
yeah, definitely. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to keep you on the screen, Alex, but we've now managed to send over the link to Mark. So, Mark, I'm going to be adding you into this one, mate. Good to have you on. Thanks for joining us on the show tonight. Obviously we saw your tweet the other night, deciding that it was time for you to step down from the role. First of all, how were you kind of feeling now that you've had you've had a few days to kind of process the decision that you made?
Personally, I think it's the right one. The time put in, etc., and the players, not wanting to train and not wanting to improve the situation. Saturday was just like final straw, really. I mean, we've been doing poorly, but we've been starting games well, and we'll go in and just give up and not want to do it. And 5 players dropping out all on match day as well. So you went from a squad of 16 to like bare 11. And we managed to draw a couple back, but just it ruins the whole plans. And
Right.
And the formations and stuff all goes out the window. And
Yeah.
just week after week, just got too much, and I just thought sod it,
Yeah.
I think like credit to you, like the way that you announced your decision was like very, very well done. Like in terms of it came across very sort of clear, concise, and there was no like resentment or anything in it. And I think, like, obviously, like you say, if a job feels like it's becoming too much, then it's probably not the right thing mentally to continue with either. Like, do you feel like it was starting to get on top of you to a point where you weren't enjoying the football as much as you should be?
Oh yeah, dramatically. I mean, last season was brilliant. We had the youth coming through, and I managed to promote 5 up to the reserves, and a couple of them have gone on to play first team, which the route was working. But this year, I've had no under-18s come through at all. I've had to bring in people from outside, and it just hasn't worked. They haven't got on with each other, and it's a mess. At the 18, anyway, it's a mess.
I can imagine that. We talk about these kind of things in terms of getting match preparation and, doing your homework on the opposition. And if you've been able to, sort of find out any sort of facts about who's scoring and who's playing and, what kind of people are turning up for the opposition. But you can do all of that kind of stuff as much as you want. But if you're struggling to figure out who's actually going to turn up for your own team week in, week out, you can do all the preparation you want, but at the end of the day, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference. That must be quite frustrating from that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just, you put all the effort in, you do your homework, and then, like you say, it all gets washed away just by a click of the finger,
Definitely.
Have you had any sort of big learn to take away from it? Like, after the season, I'm enjoying it and stuff. Like,
I mean, I learned a lot from it, and the club is great and all that. I wish them all the best. They say one door closed, another one open. I've had a few offers already, which,
good,
surprised me, actually, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got options, and there's one that's sticking out I might go and have a chat with, and we'll go from there.
Right.
One thing you must take away from it as well, Mark, is obviously what you just turned around and said, that 5 of your players that you had there last season have gone through to play for the first team. So that must be a good thing for you to take away and be quite proud of it and stuff like that as well.
It's definitely something to stick on the CV, isn't it?
That's good buzz. Seeing little Aidan Fair and Alex Clark run out in the first team, it's brilliant to see.
Aidan, I've known since he was about up to my knee. To see him go through to the first team was I was chuffed about that.
I mean, Adam, you know these guys as well, because obviously you watched a lot of Stowe first team. What did you make of the lads that Mark has just mentioned there?
Very good, like their talents, and I think to fit in with some of the other names that Stowe has, and you're seeing them boys consistently in that team now, is a big pat on the back to the development that they've had and what they've been able to prove that they're capable of. Because it's one thing having the skill and the talent, but you've got to be able to put lads in a position where they can prove it and they can prove consistency. Because someone can play good for one game, but at that level, you've got to show that you can do it often to have that opportunity. And I think, like, big credit there for being able to bring those boys through. And actually, Stowe don't have a young team either.
No.
To get those younger players through, that's genuinely big for them. And hopefully, like, as the season goes on, they'll get more game time, be able to be introduced to things.
Yeah.
I just hope that, obviously, like, from my point of view, I saw how enthusiastic you were about the team last season when I was involved.
Yeah.
And I think what I'd sort of hope is that it hasn't, no matter what it's done to you in your mind over the last few weeks, as things haven't gone well, it hasn't left that part of the enjoyment behind, and you can still take that forward to another club, maybe, and find your place to sit and settle and go again.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to get going. I'm not going to aim to be out of the game too long. So.
I mean, I'm going to bring this comment up on the screen, and I don't mean to to kind of chuck this at you, but Dean has put something into the chat that I don't know if you're able to see that, Mark. He's put on here, to be honest, no matter how tough it gets, in which I'm currently experiencing myself, surely the belief in turning something around and not giving up is more rewarding. Was there ever, when you were kind of contemplating that decision about whether or not you wanted to, stick it out and try and get through this period? Was it how much was the lure to stay kind of keeping you in that job, or had it kind of reached a point where you were just like, I can't do this anymore?
To be honest, it took a while for me to come to this decision.
Right.
I've been wanting to stay and turn it around. But like I say, when it comes to the attitude and stuff, the Walsham game, when you've got your own players turning on each other and lashing out at the opposition and stuff like that, which I just don't condone it, and and that takes all the enjoyment away,
Yeah.
And I was just fighting that losing battle every week, I just wasn't able to get into them, and but so you've got different personalities there, which I've had to bring in to fulfil fixtures, etc., and they just they clash, and it just hasn't worked this year, not like last year.
Right. I mean, Luke makes a point on here saying for the A and the B team to work, you need the whole club on board. Walsham are a great example of that. We then had Ryan Owens get involved on Facebook saying you have to have the support through everybody at the club. Did he have that? I'll pose the question to you. Do you feel as if the support from the A to the reserves to the first team? Do you feel that was there? Because again, from the outside kind of looking in at Stowe, as much as they are my home team and as much as I love them, it does feel as if there was a point where you get to the first team and then or get to a reserve level rather, and then the first team is such a way above anything else to the rest of the club that maybe there's that slight barrier that potentially stops somebody from progressing into the first team. I don't know. I could be way off.
Yeah, I mean, we did struggle. Even last year. We struggled to get the under-18s to come through to the A's because they looked at the league tables and some of them saw themselves too good to be in Division 4. And we're playing the likes of Bacton and Old Newton, etc. But this year, I don't know what happened at youth level, but I don't think anyone from the under-16s came through to the under-18s. And the current under-18 team was pretty much Stowe Falcons A side. So I don't know why they've gone down that route and not the Stowmarket Town route. I can't answer that.
Right.
But yes, more could have been done to help me pre-season.
Yeah.
But again, most clubs, it is all about the first team, which we all understand that.
Yeah.
But just to get a couple more kids coming through would have probably helped. But like I say, that's down to me.
Yeah.
The other thing, from what I've seen from not all youth, but quite a lot, is the hard work. It's, how can I put it? If they've not been used to playing at an academy and they've kind of come through the system where they've, played under 18s football for like local clubs and stuff like that, when they get the opportunity to play for a club like Stowe, kind of don't realise how much hard work you actually have to put through to get yourself to the point of playing for the first team. It's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. You see someone you can see a young player that's got the quality, that's got the gift, whatever you want to call it, but you've got to manage it and nurture it in a way so it's ready for the first team. Like you say, consistency. They could have 2 or 3 good games, have 1 bad game, and their head drop for another 2 games after that. Now, a first team doesn't want that. A first team wants a player that can have 2 games. They might have a bad game, but then the next game they're trying doubly hard to be better than they were last game, or doubly hard in training.
A big thing in this is about the mentality of players as well. I think you could hear that possibly wasn't where it needed to be, because if you've got somebody that's in the sort of just coming to the 18s, needs to experience what men's football is like, and they're not choosing to stick with Stowe to do that with the ultimate goal of playing for Stowe first, whatever level that is, And let's be honest, that target level is not step 5; it's beyond.
Yeah.
If they're then saying, "Oh, I want to go and play for Backton on a Saturday," their mindset's wrong from there. Like they're just thinking, "Oh, I'm going to play 2 divisions above because that looks better to my mates."
Yeah,
In my mind, this is where I want to end up with it.
Yeah. Is it the quickness? Is it I don't want to put the hard work in. I want to be at that level now. So if I've got a team that comes to me and as I say, it's 2 divisions above, I'll just go there.
It's that immediate gratification thing, isn't it, though? Some people are prepared to grind for the end goal, whereas others want immediate gratification of doing something more.
Yeah. I'm just putting up a few more comments from people saying it's tough ask for some kids coming into men's football to get kicked off the park by some so-called players. Did it a few years back with a reserve side and they walked away quite quickly, says Maverick UK. Sidekicks for Sports says, you used to have players coming up through the ranks and go back down them with age. Pure Jack just says most millennials are defeatist.
Again, they're not defeatist. They just expect everything instantly.
Yeah.
There's expectation that what you want is digital and it's therefore instant gratification. And it goes through to everything. It doesn't matter if you're doing something physical, mental, whatever. Digital, you expect it instantaneously.
I will say a lot of young players will learn sometimes. Some of them may be lucky. They might go up into a first team and they'll be okay. But there's a lot of players, I guarantee, that will go up into a first team and they'll get kicked about and stuff like that. I'm quite open and honest. You know, I had a 16-year-old play for me on Saturday, played 90 minutes. I turned around and said to him, I went, "You're probably going to get kicked. If you do a bit of skill or try and be cocky and stuff like that, you're probably going to get kicked."
I'd have been one of those kicking him, to be fair. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat that.
Play a few games and he just gets kicked off the park constantly. Like the other team, he's young, he's playing at a high level, and he just gets battered. And I suppose it's knowing whether or not the boys are prepared to take that.
So that's where the mental thing comes into it. That's when the mental thing of, right, okay, so this has happened this game, right, I'm going to expect it next game. So, I don't know, I need to work hard at training to get my movement in, my touch in, you know, my first time passing, to stop that happening. It's sorry, just saying Finney's comment there.
Yeah, I know, brilliant. Isn't it? I mean, to be honest, I was exactly the same. I don't know. I just got stuck into challenges, and I just didn't want to back out of things because the worst thing you could do. I mean, I remember managers shouting at me, "Do not back out of challenges. Do not go in 50%. You've got to go full in. Do you know what I mean? That's what I was told when I was.
You were in doubt, knock them out, weren't you?
This is the other thing as when we look at football on TV. I'm not being funny. Someone gets, kicked on the ankle and they're rolling around, like I've just got
Neymar syndrome.
Bakery,
But is that because the football boots are unbelievably thin now? Nobody wears shin pads. They're like that big. And like everyone has their socks down to like a bloody what's his name? Jack Grealish at Aston Villa level. Do you know what I mean? Like no one has like proper thick shin pads nowadays. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not being funny. I went and watched the Sunday League game this weekend, and I know we don't really talk about Sunday League, but that is just a completely different ball game. It's tackles flying in here and there and stuff like that, and you see it a lot on YouTube. Sunday League games going on there as well, and the tackles that go in, they're hard tackles, and to get nicked on the ankle and stuff like that, and to go around rolling around, you're trying to do it because you want to buy a free kick or whatever, but it's still not the great impression to show. I've got one player that played from last season, is now playing Hanley first team. He used to get kicked, he'd fall to the ground and he'd get straight back up again. He'd win his free kick and he'd get back up again. Now that is what you want to show young players. You get fouled, you hit the ground, win the free kick, get back up. That's it. Just get on the game.
So Mark, from your perspective now, moving forward, I suppose really the kind of questions that would be asked now in an interview style is, are you? I know you said that you've had a couple of people talking to you. Are you wanting to now get back into football as quickly as possible? Are you looking to have maybe a little bit of time out from things just to kind of reassess about how you want to do things, to try and, you know, maybe learn and reflect on what you've done at Stowe? Where's your kind of mindset at the moment?
Probably mindset Saturday driving home was I'm just going to chill out, watch some football for the next couple of weeks and go from there. But some of the messages I've had come through, and I won from one club already. I'm going to go and see him tomorrow night. So if the opportunity to get straight back in, and I'll jump straight back in again and go.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Definitely. Okay. Well, wherever the move takes you, I want the exclusive. I don't, none of his Twitter reveal. You've got to come straight to me. We'll get you on for another interview, and we'll reveal it. We'll reveal it to the whole world.
Unveiling Marcus, the new Clacton manager, after what happened today.
See
what happened, Adam?
That's where he's going. Smile.
Yeah, Clacton lost their manager today.
Really?
Yeah, their first team manager.
Well, okay, didn't see that. Well, there you go. If that is the big reveal, Mark, then I'd absolutely love that.
Definitely want that exclusive.
I'm just gonna bring a few more comments up, and I just want to see what you guys think to these ones before we kind of move on. Luke is saying we need to give kids some more credit. Do we think that maybe people are very quick to kind of jump on youngsters nowadays, because it's a very quick criticism, isn't it, to say that they're all of the same mold?
It's not all. I wouldn't say all.
It's not all, but it's one of those things where you see a couple of bad ones and it's really easy to tar people with the same brush, isn't it? Which I think is, I've done that far too many times on this show already, and I do it on Twitter far too often.
What were you saying, Mark?
I said no, not all of them.
Yeah.
Not in my situation. A couple of mine are in their mid to late 20s, so it's not all youngsters.
Yeah. Vinny asks, would you have taken the Whitton A job? There you go. Before they made the announcement, would you have taken it if that didn't happen?
Boys.
I'm loving it, Vinny. Keep putting those comments in. I'm just staring. I want to see what your answer is, mate. I want to see what your answer is.
I don't know.
Don't sit on the fence here, mate.
I don't know.
I'd say, what would you reckon, Adam? Would you have taken it?
For the sake of actually a bit of localized competition, it's one of them ones that you'd want to have a go at, isn't it?
Yeah.
For me.
Sorry, Alex, you were saying?
I said I wouldn't know. I've never done that myself.
Right. We've got John Ward on Facebook saying, I didn't realise what the picture was before.
Oh, that's incredible.
Hi, lads. On the subject, we at Halesworth Town are one club. Whether you are first team or reserves, if you're playing well, you get a chance for the first 11, and vice versa. We have strength in both sides, fortunately, which is a very very good comment on there. That's that they're a good club moving in the right direction from that perspective. Shane, no, I do not want to hear that. I do not want to hear that, my friend. That's not the news that we in Suffolk want to hear. You are 100% staying.
We're all completely ignoring that comment. Take it off the screen.
Yeah, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist.
Right.
Dan Barnard says, James and Adam, you should take the job. What? Do you mean Stowaway or do you mean Whitton?
The interview would have to be with my wife, not with myself, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say I couldn't get away with that. You've seen my Saturday match day experience; it's non-existent. Do you think I've got the time and the energy?
Because you're curling your hair, or your mirrors fell off.
Curling my hair? There's nothing left, mate. There's nothing left. Stow A. Adam. On a serious note,
I'd love to have a pop at it, but I don't know if it's the right time in my life.
Right. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, I think it would be. I'd love to have a go at football management. I think it would be. It'd just make a change from playing Football Manager really to actually do it. So yeah, I'd like to, but I think my passion is more for an analytical and a coaching approach as opposed to a management approach.
Right.
So whether, like, if you said to me, would you want to manage that team? It wouldn't be the first job in football I'd choose if I was to pick a career path within football.
Right.
I know that you'd love to manage a side. Like,
Me?
Yeah.
I would at one point in my life. But the problem is that I have this conversation with you, Adam, every single year where I keep saying to you, I want to do it. And then nothing ever happens. And we're having the same conversation in a year's time. So
it took me 7 years to get you to buy a laptop.
Well, that's true. That is very true.
I do love the fact that me and Mark are both like here going, yeah, you go for it. You go for it.
I mean, you know, from your perspective, I'll ask you the question, Mark, before we kind of move on. From, you know, if somebody is interested in these type of roles, the A teams and reserve football, and I'll come to you in a moment, Alex, as well. What would you say to somebody who is potentially interested in this route? What are the kind of pros and what are the kind of things to look out for at this level of football? Because, you know, it doesn't get the limelight that it deserves. And is not often talked about, and we're probably just as guilty on this show as many are. But what are the things that you would say to someone if they were interested? These are the reasons why you should do it.
Yeah, do it, man. Like, last season was a lot of fun. You know, a lot of youngsters all coming in.
Yeah,
and you get like 16-year-olds playing with. I had Foxy at 43 and Izzy was 52. So you've got all different regions all mixed together, and they were getting on and the banter and stuff, and that was enjoyable. And you could see it was enjoyable. We were getting results and we were doing well.
Yeah.
But like I say, this year it's not been so great. I've had some bad eggs and attitudes, and then like I say, people on the day, you know, you go from a squad of 16 down to bare 11, and then you've managed to claw yourself a couple of subs again. So, you know, you've got to have your mind set on disappointment as well, and having a plan B and a plan C and possibly a plan D in my case.
Yeah.
But I definitely encourage it, especially if, you know, if it's run like the Leiston side, where you've got the same youth team on a Thursday night, they train together, say, on a Tuesday, they play on a Thursday, and they're playing again together on a Saturday in the intermediate C in our league, or the league I was involved in, and they're a decent outfit. They've got it going the right way. Whereas Stowe, it's not far off working. They just need more communication between the youths and the A's, just to get that to click and work a bit better. But it's not far off working, to be honest. And I had a chat with Sharpie on Saturday, and you know, he understood, and I think he's realised where it's gone wrong. So I think, you know, give them time and they'll correct that. So it's a great starting job for somebody to take over.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And Alex, what about you? What would be your advice to somebody?
I would say be prepared. It's not the easiest of jobs. You know, it's, as we've both turned around and said, it could change from one day to the next. You could, from a reserve point of view, I could have, you know, a full squad going there, having to turn around and say to some players, you know, I apologise, can't take it this week because I've got a full squad, and you know, we can rotate and get you around in the next couple of weeks or next week. To having to phone those players up and go, can I have you? Because a couple have dropped out of the first team. So that can be not a headache, but you've got to, Vinny's put on there, you've got to have 25 players signed on. Saw one of the comments there. I agree with that in some way, but you've also got to be honest with those 25 players. You've got to turn around and say there are going to be some weeks you might not play. There are going to be some weeks where you maybe sit on the bench. There's going to be some weeks you may get 15, 20, maybe some weeks you're going to get 90. If you're honest with the players from the start and you get that player commitment, it does make the job a whole lot easier.
Yeah. And there may be some weeks where you may not even get a phone call. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's but the proud moment you do have, and Mark will agree with me, the proud moment that you have is when you've had those couple of players, those young players, and they go through, or even some of the older players that think they're not, I know, at that level, or didn't think that they would be at that level.
Yeah.
That you push through to the first team, and they're playing first team football regularly, and it is quite a proud moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with me on that, Mark.
Yeah, definitely is a great buzz to see it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had it with a couple of players from this side and my last side, and it's great to see. And you've got to realise that that's your work that you've done to get them to that level.
Yeah.
So that's one of the good things about it.
Definitely. Well, Mark, we really appreciate you coming on the show, mate. It's been really good chatting to you. I knew that the moment I saw you in the chat, we had to get you on to kind of talk about it because, as I said, and as Adam's quite rightly said, I thought you handled the statement and the way you put it across very, very well the other night. So I think whoever is lucky to get you in their next role, they've got somebody who, has got a lot of confidence, a lot of in themselves, and as I said, I think you'll do very well in your next role. So wherever that is, we'll keep in touch and we'll get you back on to kind of talk about it and what your expectations are. Yeah,
completely updated, mate. No problem. Thank you.
100%. No worries, mate. Cheers for coming on. Really appreciate it. Alex, we're going to bring you back on towards the end for the SIL part. If that's all right, but it was really good getting your thoughts, really good on that particular part. And I hope people enjoyed it, Adam, as well, because that, as I said, it's not always a topic and a league that, as I said, we cover on a regular basis. But it's good to talk about it because that does ultimately feed the main parts that we talk about.
100%. And I think it's good to look at things from a different dimension some way.
Right.
I think, it's all very well covering off the core of what we do frequently, but I think that's given us a different insight into things. And you can't help but feel sorry for someone when they've enjoyed something so much one season to watch it fall apart for reasons a bit out of his control. Yeah. It hasn't gone right the next, so it's good to actually hear it firsthand where he's coming from, and he's moved on because it wasn't right for him anymore, and he's not just putting himself through it for the sake of it.
Definitely. We have got one more topic that we want to go through with you guys, and then we're going to jump into the Super Six and go through the results because we are 57 minutes in. That section was very detailed, and as I said, we weren't expecting Mark to be on the show tonight, but this is exactly what we love. And if people want to come on and talk about their stuff more often, then just let us know. Post the word link into the chat, for future shows, and we'll get you on. But
appreciate Shane dropping a few things in the chat to help that section along as well.
Yeah, 100%. But the other thing that we do want to talk about in a bit of detail is the fact that the SIL have cancelled their cup competitions. It was a big talking point over the weekend. A lot of league games then suddenly were on as a result of the cup being cancelled. I want you guys to get involved in the chat. What did you make of the decision? Adam, how do you feel it was handled? How do you feel that from an outside looking in that it was done? And do you think they've made the right decision ultimately?
It's really frustrating because they messed up our Super Six. One of the games was...
That's the first thing you went to.
It was a mess, wasn't it? It was an absolute mess. It was so late in the day. They communicated it right, and I think it's right not to play the cups, but they could have said a little while back. I think it's good that they actually got sponsors to agree that they weren't a sensible thing to try and play this season.
Yeah.
But, I think it's a really good thing to have done, but I think they could have announced it a little bit sooner.
I think that's the only thing that I'm a bit, because I mean we found out about it on a Friday night. I started seeing messages popping up saying our cup competition has been cancelled. We're now playing a league game, and I suddenly thought, what's this? I haven't heard anything about. This is the first I've heard about it. And then all of a sudden, other clubs start getting involved and saying, "Hang on, where have you heard about this?" And then messages start flying back and forth to say everyone's been told, club secretaries have been told, etc., etc. But it all kind of happened very late on in the day. I mean, that's the only thing I would disagree on, is the fact that maybe it could have been done earlier in the Friday or earlier on in the week. But from an actual decision making, it is the 100% the right thing to do, because we are already, there's so many leagues that are so far behind already. With clubs not playing the right and the same amount of fixtures. I think they've made the right decision. It's just whether or not they should have done it the weekend before, when we had our first round of cup fixtures.
They just certainly shouldn't have done it the Friday before.
Right.
Like, I don't know. That round of cup fixtures that we covered the week before, are they all meaningless now? Are all those cups gone?
I think so.
Well, so cups they've already played one round of, they're just scrapping.
I think so. Yeah,
that's silly, but it's the right thing to do. But that just they could. Why have they waited so long? Why have they sat on this?
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Maybe someone who has actually got the communication can let us know, maybe in the chat. But I do think I think it has been cancelled. The one that we went to see, the Bedricks versus Sporting game. Let's bring up some of your comments up on here. We've got Luke, who says that it's the best decision they could have made. SIO have done very well, in his honest opinion. Dean says a good decision, but left it too late. Now teams will miss 3 weeks worth of football, and that was one of the negatives I did see on Facebook when they made the announcement. So that's maybe one thing to look at. Vinny has said good decision, just the timing wasn't great. we'll say it wasn't great. Official Westerfield said it makes sense. So many teams are already behind on league games. Exactly what I just said. I think they needed to do it, because otherwise we're going to be in a situation in January where you could still have some teams that are like 4 or 5 games behind, and if you're then adding the cups on top of that, it could get really chaotic. Just glad our secretary was still sober and looking at emails. That's a brilliant comment. Everyone's saying about the Super 6. That was my concern in regards to the Super 6. Vinny, I don't know if it is, but I might not say it just in case. Ryan has said we found out on Friday night at 7 p.m. That's if you didn't have a cup game, or do you know what I mean? You then got to quickly try and get a team around. That could be a bit problematic.
Yeah.
Paris has said Playder must be fuming. That's the treble gone. 20 games got cancelled in October. So there you go. That's a stark warning of what we're going to be getting as we move. Well, it's a valid point as to why they've made a decision. Do you know what I mean? Ryan has said on here, no, not the FA Cups.
The Suffolk FA Cups have not gone.
Yeah.
What he's saying, but the league-based cups.
Not county cups, according to Luke on here. Stuart, I don't know if Adam's just frozen on there. I'm not entirely sure. Well, I'll try and get him back in a few moments. I can't hear him anyway. Stuart Spreadbridge saying correct decision, shouldn't have carried last season's cup over. Lost a bit of credibility with that decision when league was declared null and void. Leagues, if possible, must finish. We need to have that as a priority. Apparently there's a link from Mary on Twitter about why it's been done. Dan has said it was the Junior Cup, so that's not been cancelled. So apparently that's not been cancelled. Mark has said, I agree with Stuart Spreadbridge's comment on there as well. Lucas said positive COVID test late in the day. They reacted to it and had a plan B ready, which is a very good point. COD Army has said we were late on it because they wanted to see if they could get continue with it, but a few clubs had to pull out. So Keith got hold of sponsors, all competitions, and it's all sorted on here as well. Pure Jacks make a breakaway COVID Cup for the teams who didn't suffer any outbreak. The game I watched was the Junior Cup, so apparently that's not been cancelled. No one had to play the league games. It was down to a club choice if they didn't want to play, which is what the COD Army says on here. And the league has to take priority is Vinny's comment as well. Adam has disappeared from the chat. I'm going to hopefully try and get him back in a few moments, because the next part of the show is the Super Six, which I know Adam is very, very very, very proud of. So let's move on to it, because we are already past the hour mark, which has just absolutely flown by this evening. So the Super Six for today, I'm going to be putting the link for this in the chat in a few moments, so you can bear with me whilst I do that. Here we go, posting that over onto there. So the link, there he goes. Adam, you're back.
Yes, no, my StreamYard actually crashed, not my internet.
Oh, well, there you go. That makes a change. So the Super Six is now available for you guys to get involved. Click the link if you're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We will post this out again at various different points during the week. Dan Barnard has already posed the question: is the Lacing game going ahead? We did talk about this before we went live, Adam, didn't we?
I have actually researched it. Barnet have actually turned around and said if they had to, they'd send their under 18s.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, have you got the March game right?
Well, that's what Dan is just saying. I'm going to have a bit of a chat on that part. But these are we'll come back to the Super Six in just a few moments. But they are the fixtures that we have for this week's game. Adam, I'm going to bring your graphic up on the screen about who's done well last week. Whilst you do that, I'm just going to have a look at the March Town part of it.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll put a new survey out in a second if we have to. So what we've got this week is pretty much everyone scoring sod all points. To be fair, like the top score this week was 5, which was achieved by just a couple of people, and one of them being Spreads. He got himself 5 points in the bag, so kept himself nice and buoyant near the top of the league. Had Paul Appleby. He's only played twice, but he's on 10 points because every time he plays, he gets 5 points. So those were the only couple of big hitters that we had, and I'm calling 5 a big hitter this week, which is utterly ridiculous when we were talking about 11s last week. But I mean, the person who was top scorer last week got 0 this week, because I've never had to put so many zeros on a spreadsheet in all my life. I know a couple of people have already mentioned in the chat how poor their Super Six was. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Like a couple of people, basically the people that have gone into those top 10, sort of the top 9 spaces are all filled now by, top 8, sorry. The top 8 are all filled by people that picked up points this week, albeit half of them only picked up 1 point. Outside of that, there were zeros. So a really poor week for all of us, and we're all still in search of that perfect 15 or 18 points or whatever it happens to be, that sort of result in us winning 50 grand or whatever it is from Jeff. So yeah, nightmare of a week, but we go again. Who do I need to adjust that form to say, James? I'll do it now.
So March are at home against Haverhill Borough.
March at home to Haverhill.
So we can adjust the Super Six form now, so that we don't have to make any other adjustments to that. So before you start submitting your predictions in there, Adam, let me know when you've done that, and I will repost the link into the chat. Because I don't want you guys to be filling in forms for a game that doesn't exist. I apologise on that part. That is an error from my end. I have to admit, looking at the table on there, I don't think I've made any progress, have I? Did I not get a single one right?
You got 2 points. I got 3. So
wow,
keeping that healthy gap.
Right. Okay. And I can see Alex is smirking away in the in the green room.
Alex got 2 points as well.
How many?
2.
Right. Okay.
At least you got a better score than you got last week, James, because you didn't enter, did you?
Yeah. Well, I did. You've the conspiracy continues as far as I'm concerned, because I'm convinced I did fill that in last time.
Absolutely not. Right. I've sent the link again.
Happy days. Right. I'm just going to try and get hold of this link that Adam has sent, and I will repost that into the chat, guys. So ignore the graphic.
It's all been updated and sorted out. So
yeah,
if anyone that's already basically anyone that's already entered, if they want to contact me via Twitter to update their score on that game, let me know and I'll edit the form.
Let me just copy that link. There you go, guys. It is now on its way. So as I said, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, the new updated link to show that March are going to be playing Haverhill Borough for next week's game. So if you want to get involved and if you want to get a bit more competition, what I want to see is these guys who are down the bottom here on 6 and 7 points. I want to start seeing those guys creeping up. I want to get everyone into double figures by this weekend.
Sean is absolutely like smashing the top of the league at the minute. He's consistent up there now. But
I know.
Tommy Smith is my regular performer. He's been top 3 since the day we started.
Really?
Yeah, he gets good points every single week.
Yeah. Look at him. He's so happy with himself. He's so happy, and no wonder. He was commenting on Twitter earlier on whether or not he was going to be top.
We had 67 entrants this week.
Wow, really? That's good. That's really good.
With the new people that signed up, added on to the people that participate every week or sort of when they feel like it, we're up to 114 people taking part. So when we get to 120, I might just do a league table and include everyone in it just so everyone gets their name on the screen. But We'll start announcing on Twitter the week's top scorer so everyone gets a shout out when they do well as well.
Yeah, we had that as a suggestion, actually, didn't we? To say that people wanted weekly updates.
We can do a bit more around this.
Yeah, so rather than just the overall, which we talk about live on the show, they want weekly updates on Twitter, which we're happy to do. We're more than happy to do. So that will be coming for next week. But some it's very, very competitive at this early on, which is good.
Top 10 places, because of the way it swings week in, week out. Like, although what he's doing quite well now, it kind of feels like he could drop 5 places quite easily because that gap can easily be made up. Yeah. Like last week, Alex, who's in 4th, got 10 points and Spread's got 3. Yeah. So it's like you get a 7-point swing straight away. So it's so tight that even if you're not up there, you can easily be pushing on and knocking on the door.
Definitely. But again, if you guys want to get involved, the link is available either on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And as I said, we will be posting out at regular points during the week as well for you guys to have a bit of a reminder. So as I said, if you want to get involved, have a bit of a laugh and be on the graphic, all you need to do is click that link and make your predictions for this week's set of games. Adam, let's move on to the fixtures from this week. We've got quite a few games to go through and talk about.
This chat could be quite long and extensive, I think, after some of the results we saw this week.
It's been very, very, very interesting from an outside looking in. Let's first of all reflect on the FA Trophy second round qualifying, some of the results from there. So we had Felixstowe winning 5-0 against Westfield. Very, very impressive result. And Bury, unfortunately, losing to a very late winner for Loughborough Dynamo. Sad to see one team going out from our area, but an incredible win for Felixstowe.
Absolutely insane win from Felixstowe.
Yeah,
so good. Like, they've never been past the first round before, and they win 5-0 in the second. Yeah, like, that's amazing. Such a great result for them. Like, I'm now really excited to see what they do next round because it's a really good little run for them. Bury losing late on, I think it's a shame, but they're going quite well in the league and that, and it might bring a bit of focus to it for them. But there was a
bigger picture for them.
100%. If they would have gone through, that buzz would have really elevated again, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agree with that. The weekend's action. Hopefully, the Leiston game goes ahead. But in the FA qualifying 4th round, we have got. I added Kings Lynn into there because I just didn't want to have 2 fixtures on the screen. But it's good to see Kings Lynn in there. They've got a tough game though against Notts County. But Bury away from home against Banbury United. So another cup game for Bury, which means that they are still going to be on 2 league fixtures. And we're already how many weeks into the season? They are playing catch up on a massive level already. It's just
ridiculous.
Crazy. I mean, obviously, I know they had the postponement in there, but it is what it is. But from a Leiston perspective, how big of a game is that for the club? I think it's
tie of the round, isn't it?
Sorry,
bit of a tie of the round sort of kind of business for them. Like absolute dream. If only they were actually playing at Barnet.
Yeah,
like that'd be incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And apparently Felixstowe in the next round have got Met Police. I think that's at home, isn't it? If I saw correctly, all of our teams from the local area got home ties.
Yeah, they got Met Police at home, so that'll be quite interesting. I know Colin, who follows and is a patron of the channel, like it'll be interesting to know if he's coming up because that might be a good one to meet up with him and meet with someone from the channel on.
Yeah, definitely. We move on to the Southern League Premier Central results. So we got from our area, we saw Leiston losing 4-1 to Peterborough Sports. So still, Leiston cannot get a win under their belts in the league. We saw Lowestoft drawing 1-1 against Russell Olympic and Needham picking up a 3-0 victory against Bronze Grove Sporting. So bit of a mixed results from our guys in this part of the world. But good to see Needham Market continuing to do what they've done at the start of the season. They've been on fire, haven't they?
They've been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm a bit worried for Leiston.
Yeah,
to be honest, they're conceding a lot of goals. I know it's they're just conceding a lot. The management team came out on Twitter and said they weren't worried, but I'm a bit concerned if I'm honest.
I'm worried for them as well because if we look at the league table, I'm going to get rid of the ticker. They've
played enough games now, haven't they, to really settle? And I thought they were going to go all right. If I'm honest, this isn't what I kind of expected for them. I don't know if anyone in the chat has got an opinion from what they know, but I am concerned. Like a -10 goal difference, it just doesn't look that great for them, does it? Really?
I mean, the only saving grace is that there are quite a few teams around them that are not exactly pulling away. Do you know what I mean? It only takes a couple of wins and they're right back in that. Obviously, we are at a very early stage of the season, so I'm not going to get too carried away at this point. But, we don't want to see them down there. We want to see them doing well. We want to see them at the lowest off the Needham Market kind of level. But I said because it is still early on, I'm not overly worried, but they need to get that first win now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They need to get it ASAP. We've got a couple of comments coming in, but it's more to do with Bury, so we'll bring them up in a few moments. Only one midweek game, which doesn't involve either of our teams, but Nuneaton versus St Ives. But the weekend's action, we see Needham travelling away to Avon Church. We have got Leiston against Barwell and Lowestoft against Stratford Town. So 2 of our teams are at home and 1 of our teams is away from home. So hopefully we can see Leiston collecting their first win. And I think that's the main kind of standout from that division. Let's move on into the Isthmian North. Again, only one game from this week's result. There was not very many fixtures from the Isthmian North. And again, it didn't involve any of our sides. There is an updated league table, but again, because all of our teams were in cup action and Sudbury weren't in action, the league table hasn't really changed from anybody's perspective. So midweek action, the only one that we've got Felixstowe in there away at home against Cambridge City. But the game that we really would be talking about at this point is Sudbury versus Bury. But that has now been postponed due to the fact that Bury are in the cup.
They get time to prepare, don't they?
Which I think is a brilliant move.
Yeah, it is. Like the league are going to want, Bury are going to want to progress. Just imagine if our teams get through to the first round proper. We'd be so well represented. and at the first round proper, the potential for fixtures is mad.
Yeah. It would be great, but that would be my, obviously tie of the midweek games on there, which is a shame it's not going to happen. But bigger picture, we wish Bury all the best of luck. For their tie, and then the weekend's actions, we've got Sudbury against Brentwood. So hopefully Sudbury can collect a victory in there. Obviously, Bury's game is postponed due to the fact that they are in the cup, and Felixstowe are at home against Holbridge Sports on there, or Haybridge Sports. Again, I put a hole on there. I don't know why I put a hole on there.
Coggeshall game will be tasty.
Yeah. Very good point on that part. So we move forward into the furlough none. We have a look at some of the results from midweek, and this is where I know some of you guys are going to be jumping into the chat now. So we've had Galston versus Wroxham game was postponed. Kirkley and Patefield versus Walsham Wells was a 4-3 victory for Kirkley. Swaffham losing 2-1 to Norwich United. Manchester 1, Newmarket 0. Long Melford 1, Stanway Rovers 3. And Stowmarket collecting a 2-1 victory away from home against Woodbridge. Adam, other than the Stoke game, stand out from that?
Norwich nicked that at the death.
Yeah.
That was a late comeback win, I think, from that one. They were 1-0. Swaffham were 1-0 down. Well, 1-0 up, rather. So they'll feel disappointed because of what's gone on, but well done to Norwich.
Yeah.
Other than that, the games sort of went the direction that I thought they would. Like Newmarket struggling. I don't understand why. I haven't seen them yet to understand it, but away from home, always a bit harder. I would have always have gone for Goddy anyway.
Right.
And the form that the other sides are on, I think I think those results just even themselves out as to the way I thought that things would go, if I'm honest. Unfortunate for Galston to have to call the game off because of a power failure. They would have probably liked to play Wroxham at the minute because all of a sudden, they had something to bounce back from and to really get some energy in the team, and you'd have extra fight against Wroxham. I don't see why anyone wouldn't,
Yeah, definitely. Weekend's action, we have Brantham and Ely playing at a 1-1 draw. Manchester 0, Galston 1, which I think is a brilliant result for Galston. Yeah. Haverhill Rovers 1, Swaffham 2, which again, another brilliant result for Swaffham. Kirkland and Patefield versus Long Melford was a 4-3 victory. Newmarket 2, Wroxham 4, Norwich United 2, Mildenhall 1, Stowmarket 1, Stanway 0, Walsham and Hadley playing at a 1-1 draw, and Thetford getting a victory 2-1 against Woodbridge. Now, I think it would be very lazy to talk about the top teams doing well, and isn't it great? Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Swaffham, Galston and Thetford all getting victories. Much needed. Which one out of the three stands out for you?
It's a tough one, but for me, it's the Galston game because they kept a clean sheet. I want to talk defensive side of the game. They've actually been conceding a lot. They've just changed their goalkeeper. Hendo's come in. He scored the goal, I believe, at the weekend. Actually keeping a clean sheet, I think, is the biggest thing for them, and then picking up the 3 points as a bonus. I will say, though, that this week saw the battle of the two most tedious fixtures with Haverhill, Swaffham, Woodbridge, Thetford. Both teams just scrapping around to save their lives. So to have them both on the same weekend kind of separates the table a little bit.
Yeah. I like the Swaffham result, but for me, it's Thetford. That is a much needed victory, and we've been seeing every week on social media that they've been saying that the performances have been there. They know that the result is coming. It just needs to happen now, and hopefully that result for them is just the kickstart that they need. And sometimes you see teams winning 4 or 5-0. You learn more about your team when you get those narrow victories, and that will be such a massive confidence boost to that whole squad that they've now got that their duck off their back, so to speak. I think that's a massive victory. And as I said, hopefully now they can start slowly turning that ship around.
It's been a good week for Thetford, as well, with Matt Morton coming out as gay in terms of sexuality as a footballer. raised his profile really well. That's gone down really well in terms of the way that the outreach has been done, like Sky picking it up and stuff. Because I know local news had that story a long while ago, but he's pushed it further to a national platform. And I think there's quite a bit of buzz around Thetford. And because they had a lot of interviews, a few of them were asking, well, how's your football going? And the story behind that wasn't, it was a story of, well, we're trying hard and we're doing well, but results aren't coming. So to follow up everything that had happened in the week and that huge step forward for football with that win, I think that just caps everything off for them.
Yeah, definitely. Michael's got a comment in terms of the Stowe game, saying that they played well, played good football, but as per opposition opponents defending well and in numbers from a Stanway perspective. From a league table, this is how things now stand. Again, a lot of mismatch in terms of the number of games that have been played between certain teams. You see Brantford Athletic on 5 games, whereas you see Stanway 11, Kirkley 10, Whitton down to 16 for only play 5 games, whereas Swaffham, 1 place above them, have played 9. We're already at this point of the season, and we're only in October, where the league table is so hard to kind of gauge.
So Stanway are really position, aren't they?
Sorry?
Stanway are in a very false position at the moment. They're bang mid-table, but they've had the benefit of 11 games.
Yeah. I mean, the thing from there is the way that they started the season and now they are starting to collect results. Do you know what I mean? They've turned that point around, but yeah, it is very hard to kind of gauge. When you see people, we've heard about certain people talking about teams going, well, they haven't really started the season well. So, well, if you actually look into it, if you actually do your research properly, rather than just going, oh, well, they're in 14th, that should be an easy victory for such and such. If you actually look at it and do your research properly, you'll be able to see that they've only played so many games. They're miles behind already. So
I think that's the problem with Stowe. Loads of people saying, oh, Stowe have let silly points slip and stuff. They're still unbeaten. They've still only conceded 3 or 4 goals in the league.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This league doesn't show anything yet, unfortunately. And again, it's going to be one of those things where we're going to probably have to wait for everyone to play 10 games to get an idea of it. And maybe have a look at what points totals were after those 10 games. Yeah.
But I said that for me, I just wanted something I wanted to point out, because I think it's just lazy from some people to just say, well, this team hasn't started off well. Well, do your research. Do you know what I mean? It really kind of got me the other day. Anyway, let's move on. Fixtures during the week. We've got Bramford versus Woodbridge, Ely versus God Manchester, Mildenhall versus Thetford, and Newmarket versus Haverhill Rovers. Adam, standout fixture from that, if you can.
Hopefully, I'm going to go to Mildenhall Thetford.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
All being well, I think that's the one that I think that'll be a good little battle.
Yeah.
Haven't been to Mildenhall before either.
Right.
So that'll be one that I'd quite like to see. I'd hope Newmarket turn a corner Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go as far as saying I predict that they will quite successfully. But Haverhill have shipped a few goals, but Newmarket can't put anything together really, and it's worrying, I think, for a team that have got such good players.
Yeah, one victory in 5 games is not great form, but I suppose the perfect opposition to play as a team who have lost the last 4 games in a row. So from their perspective, they'll be wanting to turn that around quickly this week. And then the weekend's fixtures: Ely versus Haverhill, God Manchester versus Bramford, Hadley versus Norwich, Mildenhall versus Stowmarket, Stanway versus Galston, Swaffham versus Newmarket, Thetford at against Long Melford, Whitton versus Walsh and Willows. We're actually going to see Whitton playing a league game. That makes a change. Woodbridge versus Kirkley and Pakefield. Stanway versus Galston's kind of standing out.
Yeah.
I want to see what both teams are capable of. That looks like it could be a very, very good game.
Whitton Walsham for me.
Yeah.
Whitton they've played hundreds of cup matches, had a couple of disappointing league games. now I think it's time for them to regroup, get everyone back on the pitch and crack on. I think Walsham's a good game for them to prove what they're about, to be honest. And pick up 3 points and really have a go now. And settle the side in a bit. Like, I think their result at the weekend in the FA Vars will be a difficult one to take against White Ensign, who are a very good team. But it's a competition that everyone at Step 5 wants to do as well as they can in. So just hard to get to Wembley, you know.
Definitely.
So really, that is the game to pick themselves up and really have a go.
Yeah, I like that. Christian is saying Hadley versus Norwich.
I think it'll be interesting. Like, obviously, Christian is Hadley's manager. So, like, for me, like, if Hadley are on good form this season, and like I've said before, like, I didn't expect them to do well this season, and they've proven me completely wrong, and I love that. In the same measure, like, Norwich are unbeaten though, so it's going to be one heck of a test.
Yeah,
but they've got the benefit of it being in their own backyard. Yeah,
definitely. We wish Christian all the best of luck in that game. Hope you do well. Let's move on to the Furlough None North. The midweek action, the Cornard versus Haverhill Borough game, was one I was potentially earmarking to go to, actually. But sadly, that game was postponed. But we saw Mulbarton and Sheringham drawing 1-1. Downham 2, Marchtown 3, and Great Yarmouth 2, Dis Town 3. So some big victories in there for Dis and for March.
Yeah, big win for Dis.
Yeah. Massive. And then the weekend's action, we had Ipswich and Leiston reserves playing on the Friday night, which, as we had a comment in a few moments ago from Dean saying, super Dev Cunningham scoring on his debut, and we'll get many more for Wanderers. They look sharp and dangerous. Promotion.
That goal was a belter as well.
Sorry?
That goal was an absolute belter. That was like incredible.
Was it?
Yeah, he fluffed the free kick. It came back to him and he just sort of strode into a yard of space and smacked in top corner.
Yeah.
Like, really, really good goal. So I think he will absolutely dominate Step 6.
Yeah.
And I really, really fear for what's about to happen at the weekend.
We'll get to that in a few moments. But yeah, so we had Dis 2, Kings Lynn Town Reserves 3, Downham 0, Framlingham 4, which is a big result. Fakenham 3, Needham Market Reserves 0, Marchtown 2, Debenham 1, Mulbarton 3, Cornard 0, Norwich and AFC Sudbury playing at a 0-0 draw, Sheringham 1, Haverhill Borough 0, and Wisbech 0, Great Yarmouth 5. Adam, main talking point from that, Framlingham for me against Downham, that's a great result.
I can do nothing but agree, but Norwich not being able to score against Sudbury reserves. They've just signed Volta Rocca. I don't know if he played at the weekend. It's the most ridiculous signing ever. Someone else told me that Kevin Castro is there as well, his brother. I anticipate their scoreline starting to accelerate pretty quickly once that gets settled.
Yeah.
I mean, Volta signed from a Step 3 side.
Yeah.
For instance. Yeah. So very, very interesting. But Framlingham 4-0, like, that's a huge.
That's an impressive scoreline, isn't it? Really,
in a couple of weeks, they've scored more goals than I thought they were going to be capable of in the season after how things have panned out for them recently. They've just proven like they have got goal scorers in that side. Things are clicking, and watch over your shoulders.
Yeah, definitely. League table wise, this is where we now stand. So Fakenham and Ipswich leading the way. March 1 point behind those guys, and Lakenheath, who have got a game in hand on 15 points as well. So we've got a very, very tight contest at the top of that league, which is great to see. We don't want to have any run. Sorry?
Lovely to see competition like that.
Yeah, we don't want to have runaway leaders already at this point. It's not enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? We need that competition to keep this league active throughout the season. But yeah, a lot of teams starting to come together in that mid-table pack. I'm looking from Great Yarmouth all the way down to AFC Sudbury. very, very close to each other. But as you said, Norwich down in 15th have now made a massive signing. We could start to see their season start turning around. Debenham are slowly starting to, obviously they didn't have a great result on the weekend, but they've been turning things around ever so slightly. We should start to see more teams kind of push their way up the table. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was speaking to someone last night. Genuinely, everyone that plays Wisbeach, it's turning into a 4-pointer because you've got to be better at trying to get enough points to push your goal difference above whoever's going to be below you.
Yeah.
At the moment, I know sometimes you talk about teams, you get to half time and you might be 4 up or whatever, and then ease off a bit, help keep fitness straight for the next game. When you've got teams in this league that put 10 past them, and goal difference is important, you can already see what a difference that's making.
Yeah. I mean, you see some of the goal differences already. Look at Mulbarton and plus 12.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? That's just goes to show. But apparently, we did. You told me the other day that you saw that Wisbeach are fielding quite a young side at the moment. That could be a factor into what's going on down there.
I spoke to the lad who runs the Twitter account Squeeze, and he reckoned that Yarmouth just weren't at the races. They were no good, against them. They've got someone in the middle that could distribute well and play, but he said that by comparison, Wisbeach played well and were actually a decent side, but as soon as they went 2-0 down, heads dropped and game over.
Right.
And putting it down to youth and experience, and as soon as that happens, the teams will just take advantage, and maybe how they got to the point where they got to.
Yeah, definitely. Let's look at the fixtures coming up, and then we're going to move on into the SIL. So furlough none during the week. We've got Fakenham versus Downham, Framlingham versus Diss, Norwich versus Mulbarton, Sheringham versus Yarmouth, and Lakenheath versus Sudbury reserves. Tasty fixtures in there.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Framlingham versus Diss. That could be a very good game to watch.
Sheringham Yarmouth, I think, will be interesting to see if either side can actually get away with 3 points.
Yeah. Both teams obviously winning recently, so they'll want to try and back that up again, do you know?
Yeah, I think the fixture's got draw written all over it, but both teams need 3 points.
That's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Down agreeing with myself, saying Fram versus Diff looks to be a good one. Ben saying Hadley are going to win that game against Norwich and from earlier. Big call, like it. And the weekend's action, we've got Cornard versus Downham, Debenham versus Mulbarton, Diss versus Marchtown, Framlingham versus Norwich, Great Yarmouth versus Leiston Reserves, Haverhill Borough versus Fakenham, Ipswich versus Wisbeach St Mary. We could have put that in the Super Six, couldn't we? And
I'm all up for the demolition derby.
Jesus, Adam.
All right. I honestly, having seen Dev play a couple of times this year, if those players are young, I fear for their lives.
Yeah, what he was like against Whitton, what he's going to be like against those boys, I am concerned.
Yeah, honestly,
if anybody knows Dev, if anybody knows him as a player, you'll know exactly what we're talking about when we say this. He gets into people's heads a lot. He does not stop talking the entire game, and we had a perfect viewpoint of him, didn't we?
Oh yeah,
for the Whitton Stowe game. And honestly, some of the things he was saying was it was hilarious, but
he's like a member of the crowd running around the pitch. Like every time a long ball's hoof, constantly, barking at people as Konami puts it. Well, it's absolutely non-stop, and it's unbelievable. The things he does, but you can't help but find it funny. But at the same time, to play against, it must be awful.
Yeah, I don't know how I could. You have to keep your cool, and I don't know how it's possible because playing against somebody like that, I know I would have probably lost it. But yeah, I do worry about Wisbeach on the weekend. Goals at Humber Delsey this week. Shane, Dev is the devil. I know Devo might come down for a laugh. Blake as well will be interesting. Yeah, that could be anything on that.
Again, it's a thing where Ipswich, if they want to be up there, there's a couple of other teams that are competing well. They've got to sort the goal difference out with that game, in my eyes.
Yeah.
But there's an importance to scoring as much as you can.
Yeah, that's very true. Kings Lynn reserves versus Sheringham, and Needham Market reserves versus Lakenheath round up that division. Some very good games in there that we will review next time around. I'm going to bring Alex back into the chat as we move on into the SIL and we have a look at some of these weekend results. Benall St Mary 0 against Trimley Red Devils. I'm going to say that again. Benall 0, Trimley 0. Adam will know why I'm repeating that scoreline. Yeah. Benall 0, Trimley 0. Have we talked about Benall enough now? Can we move on?
Oh dear, Twitter, you got to love it, haven't you?
It's brilliant. Despite the fact that they've been one of the only teams that I've actually got to on a match day experience on a Saturday, apparently I don't cover Benall enough. So Benall 0, Trimley 0. Capel Plough 4, Achilles 0. Claydon 2 all against Old Newton. I'm going to talk about that game in a few moments. Cops and Ransoms was postponed. Cranes 2, Bilderston 4. That result is a big talking point. East Burgolt 2, Leyton St Margaret's 1, Hawley 1, Halesworth 4, and the Henley versus Bournvale game was postponed. Now, the reason why I want to talk about the Claydon Old Newton match is that Claydon have actually come out online and openly said that they got away with that game. Old Newton were the better team. Claydon hung in there and got a very, very late equaliser. I think actually Old Newton, if I'm right, and the comments will probably correct me on this, I think Old Newton went ahead 2-1 very late on as well. I think it was like the 88th or 89th minute before Claydon got again a very late equaliser. But again, Claydon openly coming out and admitting that they got away with that from that perspective, and Old Newton will be, I think they were slightly annoyed that they didn't get the victory, but that, it's a good point nonetheless. But Alex, Bilderston 4-2 away from home against Crane Sports. How do you reflect on that?
I watched the highlights. And it wasn't one-sided as what the score kind of shows from what I saw in the highlights. But I don't know. I think teams are going there with confidence now. Two players that have gone this season, I think, look like it's a big miss for them.
Yeah.
James Blades and Tion Leggett both going, and they were scoring a lot of goals last season, and it kind of shows.
But they're still scoring.
Yeah,
it's the 4 they've let in. I mean, I haven't seen the highlights yet. This is what I normally do on a Monday night after I'm done with the live show. I'll then go on and watch the Crane game. So I haven't personally seen the highlights.
Might be a good idea to start watching that before we do this show. It's just a live tip.
To say this, I had a little look on. Obviously, we spoke about coming back on, so I had a little look at the highlights, and you can see that Bilderston has now grown with confidence.
Yeah.
I think we spoke. What was it last week? I've got the last week. 60 events, Capel Plough. Yeah. So obviously that was a big boost for them, and obviously going in and seeing the results that Cranes have had. No disrespect to Cranes, people are gonna go there with a little bit more confidence there this season than they probably would have last season.
Yeah, that's a fair reflection to say. I don't think there's anything wrong by saying that. All it takes is a couple of results, and all of a sudden people's ears prick up a little bit. And like I said, that's your team talk, isn't it? Really, for a lot of people.
I know, if I'm right, I know Matty Oxborough, who was playing from last season, I think was playing at the back. Might have been playing at the back. Don't quote me on that. But he's a big player to mix as well, because he was one of those ones that obviously he can defend quite well, and bully a lot of players properly, and could score goals as well. So I think he's a player that was probably missing quite a bit as well. But no, great result.
Dean, do you want to kind of let us know in the comments, mate, about what happened in your game? Obviously, not a great result, but I'd love to hear your kind of thoughts and analysis on that one. If you're all right to put that into the chat, and we'll put it up on the screen. But Halesworth with another massive victory away from home at Hawley, who, last season did very well. Started off this season in quite good shape, and that's a big victory.
Yeah, obviously. Let's have a look. I've said this quite a bit. They have literally just hit the ground running and gone on from season after season and just going, right, we want to be up there. We want to be doing something.
Yeah.
And they've proven a lot of people wrong. A lot of people thought they might have gone into the senior division and maybe not done as well as what they're doing at the moment. I'm just having a look at their last result. As I say, that might be just a blip from, I think, their last result last week, and I think they're going to be another. I think they're going to be once again one of those sides that people are going to go to Halesworth. That's a lovely pitch to play on, and are going to struggle going there.
Let's bring up the league table again. Unbelievably tight at this point already of the season, but a lot of teams still performing remarkably well. You've got Henley again down there in 9th place, who are still on 4 games for the season. It's so tight. I have adjusted the league table because somebody posted to me on Twitter saying that actually 3 teams are going down from the senior league this season. Apparently, it was confirmed at the AGM. So I have adjusted the league table to show 3 teams. Now, hopefully people in the comment section can either verify or deny this, but I thought I would adjust it and we'll have a little bit of a talking point about it. So we've now got the 3 teams that are apparently going down.
So does that mean that there's obviously they're just doing a straight swap with the first 3 of the Division 1 then?
Apparently it's only 2 teams going up from Div 1 because obviously they've got an uneven number based on what happened last season, which is what I've been told.
But that's going to be difficult because you're not going to take into account of, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if there's teams dropping, if teams do drop out, which touch wood it doesn't happen, but if it does, that's going to obviously 3 teams coming out of the senior, only 2 going up to from Division 1.
Yeah.
That's going to
This table doesn't look anything like I imagined it would at the moment. It needs a few more weeks, like most of them do, to be honest. But there's results all over the place.
Yeah,
that, are quite surprising.
As I said, Crane on 4 games, Cops on 4 games, Henley on 4 games. 3 teams who everyone would have said right at the beginning of the season will be right up there. And it looks very similar to what the Furlough None Prem does, in the fact that we've got so many teams who are already behind are now going to have to be playing catch up. So it's a bit difficult to say where we are at. But I suppose, again, Adam, as you said earlier, after 10 games or so, maybe we'll know more about where teams are at.
I think what we're going to aim to do is, I'll do some maths, and when we're sort of 25% proper of the way through the season, which is going to be a couple of weeks now, everyone's sort of played 9 games or whatever it is, we'll actually do a proper quarter way through review and see where we think people are going and how things will pan out.
I like that. We could do that as a separate show,
Yeah.
Rather than doing it on the Monday night, we could do an extra one as like a bit of a bonus just to do that. I like it. That's a good thought, Adam. Well done. I like it. You don't come up with many good ideas, but you've come up with a blinder there.
I'm the idea factory.
Yeah, that is true, to be fair. This weekend's fixtures, we have got Bilderston versus Old Newton, Bournevale versus Bennell, which that looks such a good game. Really, really good game. Cable Plough versus Leiston St Margaret's. Crane versus Achilles. East Bergholt versus Cops. Trimley versus Hawley United. And Westerfield versus Claydon. I've said it. I'm going to say it again. I think Bournevale versus Benall, me, is a standout fixture.
Yeah, I want Benall to do really well, to be honest. I genuinely do. Like, I think they've got, like, well, we're watching your match day experience and then seen a few other bits of them. Like, I think they look good. Builders up Newton though for me.
Yeah, I like it. That's another good fixture, to be honest.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think Bilston versus Old Newton, it's got a bit more about it in terms of form and where both of those clubs will be wanting to go. Like, I know I was messing about early season with Bilston, saying I didn't think they'd got things together, and they were really surprising me. Like, now they've suddenly turned a corner, and they're surprising me and getting results I didn't think they'd get. I always back Old Newton to be up there in this league. Like, I think they're
Alex, what other fixture for you is standing out?
Crane's Achilles.
Yeah.
The Dean is going back to his old club, so he's going to have a lot to prove there. And I think as well, both teams, being the stature of what they've been in previous seasons, I think both of them are now sitting there going, right, we've got a point to prove. We've got to show that this is the reason why we're in this league. It's the reason why we have this reputation. I think that's going to be a very good game to watch. Good game to watch, I think.
Big team talk for Dean ahead of that one. Big team talk for Dean ahead of that game, I think. Yeah,
it's, you know, when you play your old club and stuff like that, it's always very very special, I'd say. But also with what's happening with both clubs there, I think he's got to go there with the mentality of, now we're going to get a win. We will get a win.
That he thinks that's like a relegation 6-pointer early on already.
Yeah.
What do you think, Alex, like in terms of like the energy that would give either team going forward? How do you view that game?
It will give whoever wins that game, it will give them a massive boost, I think, because it can be, especially now, as I said, we spoke before the show, obviously, you know, we're coming up to, we're about a quarter way through the season, but halfway through the season is going to come up very quickly. You know, I'd say halfway through the season is Christmas, January time. You know, we are going to start seeing people pulling away and stuff like that. And you don't really want to be sitting around mid-table, to be honest, around that time. You know, I still want to see both Achilles and Cranes up there challenging for titles seasons to come. In
my mind, that's where they should be.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think whoever takes the points out of it, if it does end up being a win either way, I personally think it's going to be a massive boost.
I mean, you know, one thing I will say from Dean's perspective is that they have gone through a hell of a lot of change at Achilles recently. Do you know what I mean? I know what people are saying in terms of they are one of the powerhouses of this league and they should be right up there. But do you know what I mean? They have gone through a massive transformation, and you know, these things sometimes for clubs, they hit the ground running. Sometimes people take a little bit of time. But as you said, Alex, I think maybe halfway through the season, or maybe a few more games. This weekend is massive, but you know, that could be the kickstart that you need.
Yeah, it's with as I say, what you're saying, building the side and getting people on. You know, a lot of people turn around and say, look, Westerfield last season. I know you look at them this season. You know, it's that getting on board, having that mentality. And I've always told I said this, Dean has the same mentality as me. He won't give up until someone turns around and says, look, Dean, take and have a little look at this. And I'm pretty much the same. You know, I've been with him at clubs before where we've gone and played sides and got absolutely smashed. And he's texted me and gone, right, you're going to be there next week? Of course I am. Do you know what I mean? And that's the type players that he needs now to be there week in, week out with him, fight each other, and start rebuilding the club and putting them back to where they want to be. You know, I hope they don't get relegated. I really, really hope they don't get relegated, because of that I couldn't see Achilles down in Division 1 again. But it's going to take a bit of time to rebuild.
Yeah. And that's the reality of where they are. Do you know what I mean? That is the reality.
You know, but with the three teams going down, obviously that's been news to me. It is going to be a struggle. But you look at that senior division, from what I would say 10th down at the moment, I think they're all kind of in the same sort of form.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't really put Henley in there, and that's not me being biased. That's just me being the amount of games that they've played.
Yeah.
Then you look at Cranes and Cops; they've only played 4 themselves.
Exactly. That's the thing. We'll know more as the upcoming weeks go on.
This game is quite important just from that point. They just need to get a few more points on the board because they haven't played as many games.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
For Achilles to get 3 points, that jumps them straight up, and that gives them so much more confidence as well.
Yeah, that's it. Div 1 and Div 2 now. Div 1, obviously this was supposed to be the cup action. We've already talked about it. So a lot of teams managing to get games on, and we I had to go off to everyone who managed to turn things around and get a game going on this weekend. So we saw Kesgrave 2-2 against Bedrixworth. Bacton 3-1 victory at home against Stanton. Stowe Falcons 3-1 against Tattingstone, a massive win. And Wickham Market 4-2 winners away from home against Wenaston United. I mean, the Tattingstone result is the standout result, isn't it? Let's face it. That is a massive victory for Stowe Falcons. And
too many people like shouting up the tat at me in my DMs or on Twitter or in the chat tonight. So it's been, oh, here we go. They're coming in. It's a shocker, that one. I'm glad it was in the Super 6 because I would have got battered on that result.
See, the one, well, the Tattenstone, I'm not being funny. Anyone may agree with me or not agree with me. Stowe it can be a very difficult place to go and play. Very difficult place to go and play. I don't know what it is. It's just I went there at the end of when we won Inter C. We went and played their reserves, and we went there and we played them at ours, and we've done really well against them. And we honestly thought, we'll go here and we'll probably turn them over, which is probably what Tattenstone probably went there and thought. And you go there, and there's just so much passion and aggression, not the wrong type of aggression, but aggression with that club. And I've always liked the club. It's always been a very good. I know a lot of people that I've played with at Stowe used to play at Falcons as well. It's
one of my old clubs. One of my old clubs, Stowe Falcons.
Everyone that lives in Stowe has been for a Stowe Falcons.
Shut up, Adam.
it is a difficult place to go to.
Yeah.
So as much as it was weird because it was like I looked at it, I was like, oh no. But then I thought, well, no, because I know what it's like to go there. Wickham. I don't know what it is. Who in the chat kept on turning around and saying, "Don't forget Wickham," because I kept on turning around and saying, "Oh, Sporting are going to be up there. Sporting are going to be up." I can't remember who it was. If they're on, say something. But I agree with you. Wickham are played 5-1-5. You can't dispute that.
Yeah, they have been absolutely superb this season. A few more points coming in saying Luke is saying changes at Stanton, apparently, is what he's hearing. I don't know what those changes are. Maybe Luke can clarify. Maybe he won't. But Irvin's put a great point on here saying Kesgrave getting their first point of the season. And against Bedricks is a very, we've seen them, Adam. They're not an easy team to go up against. And having lost every game this season, just stop that rut. That's a massive point.
Yeah. It's one of those ones that when I look at it, I'd think that, and having seen Bedricks now, I'd think that would be an easy 3 points, even away from home. And for Kesgrave to get a point on the board. That gets their season up and running, and probably pegs Bedrick's back a little bit mentally. But Wickham, the wheels are in motion there, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Shem saying no easy games in this division. You are 100% right. Apparently that was Grant who was saying that about Wickham.
Oh, was that
from last time? Apparently that's on there. Luke says, who have Tattingstone got this week? I really feel for them. Right, well, let's bring up the league table to show you what those 4 results mean now, and then we'll get the fixtures up on the screen. So as you said, Wickham 5 out of 5, perfect start for them this season with a plus 15 goal difference. Sporting are 1 game behind Tattingstone and 3 points behind them. Bedricks on 7 points, haven't played 3 games. But again, looking at this table, do you know what I mean? We've got Stow Falcons and Bagden 6th and 7th on 7 points, haven't played 5 games. Codnam, Grunsborough, Barham. Look at Barham; they've only played 1 game.
The Barham Banter bus just keeps on rolling, doesn't it? They've cancelled their cup game or whatever. Didn't play again. They're still on the beach in Jamaica. Them boys. They're going to have to get back to Lake for a couple of weeks before they can get going. Good grief! Like, come on, let's get a season started.
We just again. It's so the leagues are so uneven already at this point of the season. I think that's what is causing a lot of concern for some people about how the season's going to be finishing and stuff like that. But from a Kesgrove perspective, that 1 point now lifts them up to 10th, which is great. Absolutely love that. But yeah, again, this league is still to kind of be ironed out. But the fixtures for this weekend, we've got Bagden versus Wickham Market, Barham versus Southwold, Codnam versus Kesgrave, Grunsborough. There you go. Grunsborough are playing Tattingstone, Sporting versus Bedricks, and Stanton versus Wenhaston United.
Sporting back at Bedrick. Sporting playing Bedricks again.
Yep.
Because all these games come around a bit soon, don't they?
That's
A couple of weeks later, you're playing them again.
That's a bit of a local derby, isn't it? Old Sporting Bedricksworth.
Yeah, it is. Well, they're close. They're close by. I don't know whether or not there's a disdain between each other, but there is a very, very close fixture. But it's Jordan saying Tattingstone to come back stronger on there. Again, they're kind of playing the team that haven't won a game this season. From their perspective, that's what they'll want to kind of, to just put last week behind them. John says Spawn are going to sort them out. Love it. Let's move on to Div 2. We only had the 3 results from this game again, because obviously the fixtures were meant to be the cup action. AFC Yorkshire's 4-0 victory at home against
I'm sure Stonham were absolutely biting at the, chomping at the bit to play your shirts in a rearranged fixture after how their season started. That's awful.
Not a great result for them. Ipswich 1, Bramford Road Old Boys 5, and Ufford Sports 3-0 victory at home against Sax Munden. Not the ideal fixture for for Stonham to be playing.
No.
I've already said, Adam.
Well done for your shirts. Your shirts just going to get the job done, I guess. Really.
So I'd say
there you go. So apparently Stonham played some good stuff on the weekend.
That's a start, I guess. I don't know what to say to that. They need to pick up a couple of points, otherwise this season's going to be long for them.
I love it. It is quite difficult as to tell man to say anything, because obviously unless unless I've played against them or one of you two have gone and watched them, it's quite difficult to people turn around and say.
It's the reason why I want to see Wisbech St Mary in the flesh. It's all right on here, coming on every week and saying, God, they got bad again, another 8 goals conceded. I want to see a few of these teams and more get to the point of why is this happening?
Yeah.
Good on Stonham for actually fulfilling a fixture though and keeping things moving. But I really do feel for them. I feel they need to pick up a point or so. And Dean's just put in Ufford getting some points as well. That's a big 3 points for Ufford. Yeah,
definitely. Let's bring up the league table for Div 2. AFC Yorkshires and Wolfson at the top. Bradford Old Boys right behind them with 8 points. Again, very close, with a lot of teams right in the middle having played 4 games. But again, Elmswell down in 11th, only the 1 game played.
They had one game cancelled, didn't they? They had a game.
They were supposed to play first, and I believe.
Yeah, someone got injured. Didn't
yeah.
And we helped out on that fixture. That's all about that.
Do you want to talk about the result?
And I did go over with Bear 11. I know I can't use that as an excuse, but I did go over with Bear 11, and they've got a good side. Back 4 look very strong. Big bloke playing at the back literally just cut everything out. Any long balls that we were playing, he just literally, and he was taking them down on his chest. That's how big his bloke was. So he was doing really well. But no, I shout out to them. As I say, I wanted to help them out with a fixture, and we didn't have a game, so I thought, yeah, let's have a go. So we went over. But yeah, I'd say once again, shout out to Jack Randall, who played for me as well this week, 16 years old. First men's football, played 90 minutes, done quite well, held his own. So the youth are coming through, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. Fixtures for this upcoming weekend, we've got a great match. Looks like on paper, AFC Yorkshires versus Bramford Road Old Boys. That could be very, very good. Cockfield versus Thurston, Elmswell versus Ufford Sport, which again looks like a very, very good matchup on paper. Elmswell, we want to see them playing.
Yeah,
hopefully that game goes ahead. Saxmundham versus Stonham, Somersham versus Melton, and Wolfstone versus Ipswich Athletic. Some very, very tasty games in there. It's difficult to know which one, the Elmswell or the AFC Yorkshires. Which one is the standout one?
Me personally, I'll go AFC Yorkshires, Bramford Old Boys.
Yeah.
You know, you see the thing. This is once again, you look on paper and you look at the players that Bramford Road have got. You know, you've got Josh Hender, very good goalkeeper. Jamie McCullum's been there for a long time. Very good midfielder. Mo, who's been there, very good player. Chris Warren as well. You know, these are players that have been in and around the first division, second division of SOL for a lot of years now. And you can tell by the result that they had last week, they've done really well, and they're a tough side. But as I say, it's AFC Yorkshire. It's the same again. You've got players in there that have been in and around the game for a long time, and
do you know what, Alex? Like, I think, but something to note this, but like Yorkshire, that is a big game. But both Yorkshire and Wolverstone are both at home this week. I think Wolverstone have got the easier match on paper.
Like
100%. But it's quite an important weekend of football for both of those teams, because very tight at the top of that division. Wolverstone haven't played one game less.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd say Wolverstone would be the bigger fixture, maybe. Despite the prestige of the two.
If you go by the prestige and stuff like that, and you look at the top two, and you could that's either going to go one way or the other. It's going to be a quality game and good football to watch and stuff like that, but they could end up cancelling each other out. So it could end up, like, I don't know, a 0-0 or 1-1 or something that's overly exciting.
Your shirt score goals. That's the problem.
Yeah. With the Wolverstone one, it's a shame, because Athletic, they're another one of those clubs. You know, they were in the senior division a couple of seasons ago, and seeing them drop down to Division 2, and I take my hat off to them, because there's a lot of sides that have dropped down to Division 2 and have gone.
Yeah,
you know,
around.
RVR being one of them. You know, they were a senior division, dropped down a couple of leagues, and then they went. I know Exiles are back, but I don't think it happens to them as well. And take my hat off to Athletic that they've kept on going. But they need to start picking up those wins now.
Definitely. Luke, I don't know how to answer that question, because I'm not entirely sure on the rules. But I believe
they make no sense in football.
Yeah.
The isolation stuff, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like at pro level, if someone's presenting symptoms, no, they just send them home and play the game anyway.
Yeah.
Well, no, why is it different?
With
Well,
that,
I'm not talking about COVID again because people are bored of it. But yeah.
We'll move on. Div 3 now. The results from the weekend: Bardwell 6, Ockhold 0, Great Blakenham 1, Witnesham Wasps 3, Hope Church 0, Bramford United 2, Laxfield 3-0 against Aldborough, Unity 1, AFC Wanderers 3, and Wortham 4, Stage 4.
I take it that Hope Church had sort of also tried to field the 11-0-0 formation. Flat back 11 across the goal line. That seems to be the best option against Bramford. So, well done, Bardwell, for scoring the most goals this weekend.
You know what, right? I looked at those when they came up, and I was looking through, and I think I was speaking to both of you at the same time, and I was probably in more shock by the Hope Church Bramford United result than most of them. No disrespect to Hope Church, none at all. But I said this at the beginning of the season. Hope Church, one of those ones you don't know what side you're going to get.
Yeah.
They're a side that will turn up one week and you're like, oh my God, they're a really good side. And then the next week they kind of fall apart a little bit.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't mean no disrespect by that at all, but you can see that in the results that they have. You know, it's played 6, 1-1, lost 2, lost 3, drawn 2. So it's very much of a mixture. But I don't know. I don't know if Bramford, if they've got players out, or I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if all these teams have been talking to each other and go, right, this is what you got to do.
Yeah. You just don't know. We're going to wrap up these next 2 slides and then we're going to call it a day on this one. So the league table is as such: Bramford top 5 wins out of 5, plus 23 goal difference. Again, whole host of teams trailing behind them in second, hunting for that second spot. And we've got a couple of teams down there at the bottom of the table who are still yet to pick up a victory. This weekend's fixtures: we've got Aldborough versus Hope Church, Ockhold versus Wanderers, Unity versus Stage, and Witnesham versus Ipswich Exiles. We are going to bring things to a close because we have gone well beyond the 2-hour mark. Alex, once again, thank you very much for coming on the show, my friend. Really appreciate your input, and hopefully we'll bring you back on next week as well.
Yeah, lovely.
Cheers, mate. Adam brings together another brilliant show. Really appreciate your company this evening. It's been a good one. I think the Mark chat was really interesting because
the show, people know, it wasn't meant to go in that direction tonight.
No, it wasn't.
This has been done off the cuff a little bit, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Something that's important to know, like there's a few people in the chat saying, like, tonight's gone on quite long, like unexpected. Yeah. Like, we're now on podcasting platforms.
Yep.
So you can pick it up in the week. We're still doing good numbers. Really appreciating the donations that are coming in that are going to help us. I think we're sort of starting to think about how to move the show forward and up the quality that little bit more and stuff. So we're gonna keep going, keep pushing it on.
Yeah, I think. I know a lot of people are talking about an 8 p.m. start, but unfortunately, with both of our lifestyles, the 8:30 start works very nicely for us. We just, there's so much to talk about, and I don't think we can. I think for us to try and condense it down into an hour, we just can't. We can't do it because we just want to talk about. We want to talk about as many people as we want. And as many people as we possibly can. And I know Mike has put on here saying that Division 3 talk is all about is about Bramford, and I appreciate that may be the case for some people looking at it. But by the time we get to Div 3, we're already 2 hours into a show. Do you know what I mean? It's very difficult. I think maybe we'll try and bring the SIL forward next week so we can have a bit more of a broader discussion and maybe put the other leagues towards the end. I don't know. We'll have a bit of a chat about that. But we really appreciate everybody coming on and getting involved in the chat, as you guys always do. It's been an amazing show. It really has. And as I said, we'll be back next Monday. As Adam quite rightly said, if you have missed any parts of this and you want to catch up on some parts of the beginning, then this show is available on all podcasting platforms. Just type in Suffolk Non-League Show and you will find us there. We really, really appreciate everybody getting involved. For all of our Patreon and Ko-fi members, again, thank you for what you guys do. You are making sure that the show can continue to grow the way that it is. We really, really appreciate it. Just a few goodbyes before we disappear. No worries, Psychic. We really, really appreciate it. Again, Dan, thanks for the thanks, lads. Great show again. Really, really kind words on that. Dean, great show, lads. Love Mondays. Love football. Alex, class again, chaps. Really, really, really appreciate you coming on there. John Ward, great show tonight, lads. Really, really appreciate it. But thank you very much for everyone who's joined. Remember, if you were on YouTube, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Twitter and Facebook, make sure you give us a retweet and share the video so more people can watch this on a catch-up platform. But until next time, as always, guys, adios.